Hello everyone, and just welcome back to our Powered by Ground training and coaching. We love to bring on different lenders who talk about different products that they have with their lending firms. And today we have John and Adam with Giza Credit Union. They're located in three states: Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And they actually reached out to us because I run Keller Williams New Home Division here, and we talk a lot about land as a product that needs to be sold by brokers, and it's so important to really stack all your resources when it comes to selling land. And I think Adam and John, not only their expertise, but I mean the transaction volume of what they do in land sales is a phenomenal expertise just to bring to the community and just educate brokers and homeowners also on when they're selling or they're buying, what programs are available out there, because there's a lot of people. I mean, I know I have a ton of clients, they just buy land and then they want to build in the future, and usually future is a couple years and so forth. And you have to put strategy and you have to have good partners. And I really liked about your product that we talked about in our last meeting. So we're definitely going to do this recording and bring it to the whole community and allow everybody to kind of hear what you guys have and your product. So just a little bit about yourself, John, Adam. I mean, how long you guys been in the industry, and then what brought you working for the company where you're at right now?
Okay, I don't mind starting. My name is John Rembolt, and I did my first land deal back in 1988. So I've been around this forever. I started in Texas doing land and construction, and then was transferred out here in 1998 and started doing land deals with First Tech. Came over to Giza 2 years ago because I simply like their land product more. It has more parameters, less down payment, and just can do a wider range of transactions.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you, John.
And my name is Adam Railing, and I've been in the industry since 2003, so 22 years. Been with Giza for 2 years. I came to Giza because we have a lot of portfolio products, such as our land product, which it's a pretty amazing product. So we'll go into more detail about that later. But
Give me, before we do the presentation, you guys talk about the product. Give me a couple case studies, maybe even in 2025. I mean, it's been a rough year, but give me some land structure deals that you've seen out there, just to kind of give a huge encouragement to a lot of people that, transaction can still be made in this environment, because, a lot of people are just like hands down, oh, there's nothing to do in the market. Market's not great. But I'm like, no, there's always a deal to be made. So can you talk to me a little bit about a handful of deals, maybe locally here in Southwest Washington or maybe some other areas?
Sure, I can go over a couple of them or not. Most agents, I mean, really aren't aware that there are decent land deals out there. At the end of the day, it's simply a mortgage, just like purchasing a house, except there's no house on the property. Uh, Basically, the qualifications about the same. Credit scores, we can go down to, I think, 640, things like that. It's 20% down on a buildable land lot for example. And the down payment sources can come from, savings, a home equity line of credit, gift. We have a lot of possibilities there. Uh, Odd ones are, when you have something that looks to be commercial, and this is one specifically I did, and our underwriter said, no, this is commercial. We can't do this. Is only for residential. Well, I got a copy of the zoning regulations from Multnomah County out in Gresham, and it actually allowed single family residence, 1 to 4 units. So we were able to look at that and do that. We're big on exceptions. I mean, we have guidelines, but exception means high ratio or some debt to income ratio, things like that. We look at in property themselves. I think I'll let Adam talk in a sec. Where we stand apart from everybody else I know that doing land is we allow structures to remain on the property. You might have a dilapidated manufactured home, which is an example, a house that was just uninhabitable. We just go off land value and we'll do a land loan, even if it has existing structures on it in certain cases.
yeah, and I actually did one just this year, which we had a twice moved manufactured home on it, and we couldn't get the title eliminated, so we had to get a new appraisal with just the land value only, and it was a livable manufactured home, but we were able to lend on that property just with the land only. We didn't have to require flood insurance. they didn't have to have homeowner insurance, but I suggested that they did. And the rate was much lower than our twice moved Manny's because it's an exception loan. So he was able to save like $700-800 a month, not carry flood insurance, and he was very happy about that. So
That is awesome. No, I really appreciate you guys filling this in, because land is a product in real estate, and a lot of brokers just do not know how to, maneuver or guide even their buyers or sellers into properly, making the transaction happen. So that is our goal, is to become a phenomenal resource hub, but also, bring in as much resources to our clients for them to make, their decision based on everything. And finance is a huge thing, right? When it comes to building a transaction, I really love the way you guys stack the finances, very competitive, to almost like, why not make it a deal? So let's jump on the presentation. I'll add it to the screen, and then you guys can kind of look through it, and then maybe I have questions, or I'll kind of ask questions as we go.
All right.
So yeah, I guess I'm Adam Railing, and I've been with GISA for 2 years, and I work in the Washington office, which is here in Vancouver by Vancouver Mall. We don't have any branches here in Vancouver yet, but we are going to be opening some here, supposedly this year, but it might end up being beginning of next year. So we'll have local branches here in Vancouver.
It's awesome.
And I'm based out of the Portland, Oregon area, actually Tigard, and do land loans this side of the river.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, John, can you click through the slides on your end, or Adam,
Sure.
who's going to go through?
I got it right here.
Boom. There you go.
All right. So I'll let you ask the question, which is, what type of land is loanable? Well,
Mhm.
we break it into two distinct categories. One is buildable, one's raw. Buildable just means that the appraiser has to state that the highest and best use for this particular tract is single family residential, or 1 to 4 units, actually. That's the only definition. And then, Adam, you want to talk about raw?
Yeah, and so we also do raw land, which is unbuildable property, just property that's not zoned correctly, maybe like too sloped. But on a raw property, you do have to put down 40%, but we still will lend on it.
Good.
And a little tip off to the side, feel free to email us a link on the property you're looking at. We can take a look at it and see where we think it fits. If we have a question, we can send that to our underwriting scenario desk, and they'll give us a verdict usually within 24 hours. So feel free just to say, hey, what about this one?
Yeah.
How do you guys stack the whole closing? I mean, maybe it's in another slide, but when we talk also what type of land and loans, like between like feasibility study to closing, what would you kind of talk about that, or you got it in another slide?
And we have it in another slide, but I'll just mention it briefly here. They close in the standard time frame of a residential transaction, give or take 30 days. You're always going to have one crazy one that's going to create more, but we don't actually require feasibility studies and all that. That's a part of the real estate transaction. If you want to do a feasibility study, then you put in the contract with the seller.
And then the land, if it's for like duplexes attached inside the residential aspect, you guys will still work with it, right?
As long as the highest and best use in the appraisal is residential, you're good to go on buildable.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
All right, I'll advance the slide if that's okay with you.
Yes.
And a little bit here, who can be a borrower on a land transaction? Pretty simple. U.S. citizens, green card, non-perm resident aliens such as H-1B, and the living trust.
And non-eligible is the corporation, a partnership, foreign nationals, and irrevocable trusts. And then just to become a member of GISA, you just have to open a $5 savings account, and you become a member with just a savings plus account.
Yeah, so it's not exclusive to someone who is currently a GISA credit union member. We can make you a member for $5.
Yeah.
All right, I'll advance.
And then can the borrower buy only one piece of, or they can buy more, like 2 pieces of property, 3? How does that guys work with you guys?
It's a 2 per member. One member or borrower can have 2 separate land loans at any time.
Yep.
Good to know.
We may be able to get an exception to go more, but
Yeah.
most likely they would cap it at 2.
Okay.
And one thing, sort of a side note, is you can buy 2 lots under one note and deed of trust, and then say you want to develop one and sell the other. We can split that and help you with getting one sold, pay off as much as you can on the other. So we can do that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, like a partial release of interest.
Yeah.
Sell one of the lots out. We portfolio this product, so it's all in-house with GISA. So we can do things like that. We're very flexible with.
We make all the decisions. It's our loan. The
Phenomenal.
next slide is, what are the main parameters? Maximum acres, 35 acres. We do have exceptions on that too. What nails you there is once it gets out over 10, 15 acres, you got to be really careful as to whether this is actually going to, be appraised as a residential in nature. So we'll help you with that. And Adam, you can go over structures.
Yeah, so we do, like I mentioned before, we do allow garages, shops, and barns. We don't require utilities either. But if those things are present, we can give value to non-livable structures. But then livable structures we also do allow, but we just can't give any value to those structures. So no value given, but we do give value to the improvements and water, sewer, garbage if it's available at the time of appraisal.
And that's a good one to point out. Say someone buys a piece of land for $200,000, and they spend $30,000, improving it and getting the water there, the electricity there, this, that, and the other. Well, that will add to the value of the property going into a construction loan. So that's important to note. I'll cover ineligible properties. Basically anything that's not residential. Okay. Commercial, industrial, tribal land, working farms, ranches, orchards, vineyards. The list goes on. However, we do have our own commercial department, and if it is a commercial piece of land, we do have an option to send it over to those folks too.
Yep.
Excellent. Good to know.
All right, we'll go next. And what type of loans are available? The main one is it's a 5-1 arm. Okay, it's amortized over 20 years, buildable only, 20% down, maximum loan amount 600,000. And minimum credit score is 660. Pretty standard stuff right there.
And then we also have a 20-year fixed. That's on buildable land and raw. So you got to put 20% down on buildable, 40% down on raw land. The max loan amount on that is 450, and we go down to a 660 credit score on buildable land and 680 on raw.
And then pretty much the 15-year mirrors the 20-year and everything else. We see most people taking the 5-1, and we'll have a discussion with you. I mean, are you really thinking about building within the next 5 years? We can look at that one. If you're going to just hold it for a long time, and one thing to note is we don't require a buyer ever build on the land at all. So you can take a piece of land and put it on the 15-year, make some double payments, pay it off in 10 years, and no requirement to build, period, from GISA.
And then the 20% down, is that off of appraised value or that's off of purchase value?
The purchase value, whatever your contract reads, 20% down based on the purchase price of the contract.
Yep.
And your rate is kind of market value rate, or where would you say your rates are?
I think
to the 5-arm,
20-year,
and 50-year.
We'll pull that up on another slide here in shortly. I'll show you some rates as of the date. All right, let me go to the next one. All right, looks like we are stuck on 5. Hang on. Well, for some reason, it only brought
us to 5, and that's it. How many total did you have in there?
Looks like we've got 10.
You wanna try upload it again?
Yeah, let's do that. Pause it, and we'll come back to it. We can edit it. Okay, remove from studio. So I've got it saved in PDF too, so let me pull that one.
Sure.
I'll print this to PDF real quick to make sure we have the current one. Okay, Microsoft PDF and print all slides.
And on our rates, we do generally just fix those each month based on our VP of loans. It basically sets those rates, and it's the 5/1 would be based on the 5-year Treasury plus a little bit of a margin. So.
And then 20 and 15 years are a little bit less or more.
The 15 and 20 are a little bit higher than the 5/1 arm. It's just you got more leverage there, and it's the 5/1 Treasury is quite a bit lower than a 15 or 20-year rate.
Yeah, now I've got a slide will cover the differences between those and the rates and the payments and whatnot. It's processing the PDF upload right now.
Okay, phenomenal. Yeah, because we have a handful of lot listings in our office, and it would be really good. And and then I'll ask you to maybe send us some flyers and so forth that I could print out and start hanging. But yeah, a lot of people need to know about programs on land and lots, because there's
Mm-hmm.
always stuff transferring hands, and a lot of
Mhm.
people sadly think either it has to be part of a construction loan or it just has to be cashed out. Like there's never, and that's one of the things we talk about in the new home division is like, no, there's products out there, there's banks out there that will do and service these loans, and
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes it takes a like a private equity firm like yourself who
Mhm.
understand and have the personnels to do it. So, but yeah, so it's really exciting. Yeah.
Land is really sort of a credit union thing. I mean, I don't know any commercial banks that are really doing it. I mean, U.S. Bank will do them, but then you
Mm-hmm.
get in the position where you must start building within 12 months. All
Mm-hmm.
right, there we go. And let's get to slide. There's where we left off. Whoops, hang on.
Boom. There you go. Yep. 5 and
All
6.
right, there we go. So we're ready to roll again.
Okay.
I'll advance this and then we'll fire away again. There we go.
Okay. Good.
Oh, what tests or other inspections are required? Tests generally we don't require any tests on a land loan. Well and water are tested for construction loans, not land loans. So if you have no septic, you have no source of water, um, land is just land. We're looking at the land. Um, the appraiser can call for these, but it's unusual. I haven't seen any appraisers really call for something regarding tests on that because they're out there doing a specific land lot appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
Same with inspections. No inspections other than the appraiser required by us for the land loan. And then Adam, feel free to jump in on plans and permits.
Yeah, and we don't require plans or permits at the time we do the land loan. That's something that we would require prior to getting a construction loan. So really getting into the land loan gives you the time to really, figure out your construction process and get your, plans and permits all ready to go. And we'll just do a conversion into a construction loan at that time, once you get those in place.
And you do this across all of Oregon, across all of Washington, across all of Idaho, correct?
All counties in all 3 states, yep.
Correct.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Let's do the next one. And here we go. What are the typical land loan rates? Well, these were, let's see, I don't have the date on here, but the 15-year was 8.8, 20-year 8.5, and 5/1 was 7.25. And I haven't checked them today. They're gonna tend to follow the Fed funds just like a normal mortgage.
Yep. And that's based on a 721 FICO score or higher. If you're below, you're between a 720 and a 680, I think it is. There's a half add to the rate, and if you're below that to a 680 down to a 660, it's a full point add to those rates.
So we can do it, and you can work it out. And if your credit gets better, you can also refinance it. Say, for example, you did this 5.25 or the 5/1 arm, and you got 8.25 because your credit score was low. A year from now, your credit score is up, rates are down. You can refinance it.
That's really good to know. And then rates is fixed, right, for the term of the loan? It's not a variable, right?
The 5-1 is fixed for 5 years, and then it adjusts once a year after that. And it's amortized over 25 years, so it's got the longest term and the lowest payment of all of them. So, but yeah, at that end of that 5-year period, if you haven't figured out what you're going to do with your land or haven't got ready to build yet, we can always refinance you into the 15 or 20 year at that time,
Yeah.
and then it's fixed for the life of the loan.
Yeah, you have a lot of options.
It's
All
really,
right.
really good.
And then just the general cost. I put this up here because most agents brokers would want to see what are the costs. There's no really crazy costs involved in a land loan. They mirror our conventional purchase loans. I mean, we do have a 1.5% origination fee on these. Everything else is pretty standard: appraisal, credit, title report, recording, lender fee, tax service fee. The list goes on. All right. We only escrow for taxes if you want them. You can waive the tax escrows. There is a 1/4 point charge to do that, of course, but you can do it on your own if you wish.
Yep.
And just a tip: the seller can pay up to 6% times the sales price in closing costs and prepays. They can't do that. So we've had cases where you take a $100,000 loan, because I can do that math in my head. You have $6,000 in closing costs, just make it $106,000 and to build it into the transaction. So that's common too. So we could get you in with just the down payment if everything goes right. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right. And like I said, if someone sends us a listing, we'll knock out one of these sheets.
Breakouts,
So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we have a couple brokers already asking me for this information, so
Great.
we're definitely going. Definitely going to spin out and have them talk to you about this for sure.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
if you just give us a call, we can work up these quotes like this in no time at all.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, let's see what's next. We've got here's the typical closing timeline. Day one is the day that the contract is signed. Day 3, we get the standard disclosures out, all the stuff, the intent to proceed. Typically, in between day 1 and day 3 to day 7, we're collecting, income documents, whether it's pay stub, W-2s, or tax returns. And then day 10 to 14, order the appraisal once we submit it. Day 10 to 14, appraisal in, final approval, clear to close, signing and funding. 25 to 30 days is typical. I don't know. I was told by Adam, and well, make sure you got the same information. In a pinch, we can pull off a 21-day closing. We have to get that approved by management, but it's possible.
I did get one done in 18 days a couple months ago, so
there you go. Yeah,
pretty quick.
There you go.
I mean,
That's really good.
I had all his documents ready to go, and it was ready to go. So.
And he had a borrower that didn't nickel and dime him in, right?
Yeah.
That goes. That part of the mortgage business never changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's trying to look for a deal for sure.
Exactly. So just typically, just give or take 30 days is what I would tell any agent who talk to me. All right. Well, this one I added. How does the land loan and future construction work? Well, the most important thing to look at is, in this case, I just used $600,000 as a contract with the builder. There's a 5% contingency built in, so if there's cost overruns, we have money built in the budget to fund that. And then lot value, total acquisition price. Total acquisition is considered value in construction. And you go down to the next one, calculating cash to close. The lot equity, the amount they put down and any principal pay down transfers into the construction loan as if it were cash. Now, there's one thing to note here that's a huge difference between Geese and everyone else. If you buy a piece of land for $100,000, let's say you bought it April 15th, and your construction loan, we do the construction loan appraisal in July, and lo and behold, the lot value is $125,000. Well, we'll use the $125,000 to bring in more equity right there, rather than the lower of current value or acquisition price of the lot up until 12 months has gone by. So that's a big number right there. It can turn into something big. So that's
Yep.
unique to geese as far as I know. And then what goes on, it shows down that just shows how much cash to close this particular construction loan. And both Adam and I do the same thing. If someone's looking at land, we're going to actually start talking about how the construction loan works for them at the time they're applying for the land loan. Anything to add,
Yeah,
Adam?
this is
Yeah, just if we're treating it as a refinance when we convert it into construction, so we're using future appraised value of the finished product. So a lot of times you'll have like the 10% equity, and you've only put 20% down of the land. You're only going to have, you might not have to bring any funds in to fund the construction loan 100%. So
Correct. And a thing to note that the people I've talked to, be very clear, you end up with one loan when you close the construction loan. The first draw pays off the land loan balance, so you only have one payment on the construction loan.
Yep.
mhm.
All right, let's go to slide 10. And this is just our final words. I mean, we have many portfolio products like land and Geese's own loans. We originate, underwrite, process, close, and fund our own loans and service them too. And you can talk about exceptions, Adam.
Yeah, each loan program we can get exceptions. We have a VP of loans that has the ability to make exceptions for us. So if it makes sense, most likely he's gonna approve the exception if it really need it. So.
And just anything, regardless of land. I mean, if you have a property problem on any type of transaction, then text us, call us, and see what we can do about it.
Yeah.
No, this
All
is
right.
really good. And this is John and Adam, what we were talking about, a month ago, that I think there's just not enough information about it out there. And a lot of brokers just don't know how to service their clients when it comes to land and loans. And our goal is to definitely speak louder about it and present the opportunities. And I think you guys are a phenomenal resource to either underwrite or help or lead or guide a buyer or seller into how to better sell their home, sell their land, right? When they have loan options, or for a buyer to, consider anything that has to do with buying a piece of land and the financial aspect to it. So, thanks for doing this, and I really appreciate you being part of, first our markets, and then definitely servicing the new home division in the aspect of land. Yeah, and if anybody has questions out there who listens to this, you could feel free to reach out to myself or John and Adam. Their contacts are here on the screen, just to discuss more about land. And I would highly recommend that each one that's interested or has a land listing would definitely seek out their expertise in the question of how to help finance land deals.
All right.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
that.
guys' time.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you very much.
it. All right.